and welcome to episode 4 of the Extinctionist podcast with Steve and James. Hello, Steve.
Hi, James. So I think we missed the weekend podcast.
Yeah, we did miss that, but we're still here.
Yeah. Cool.
So, today I was thinking we could look at some Reddit comments and think about pro-life extinction debating and the best way to do it, because you have some really interesting points on it, don't you?
Points on what?
On sort of what makes sense when it comes to debating pro-lifers, especially because you can't really convince them. So you have to think about debating them in a slightly different way, don't you?
Yeah. So the thing is that when it comes to pro-lifers, it's not about it's not like each and every one of them is like not going to become extinctionist, right? So you were a pro-lifer once, right? And you actually came to a debate and then joined activism, right? So actually, people who have the rational capacity to understand, people who are reasonable in ethics, they would actually understand your arguments, extinctionist arguments. But who wouldn't understand is people who are like complete narcissists, right? Even if you have like a little bit of empathy towards everybody, you would understand our message. But complete narcissists and completely like irrational people, like theists, spiritualists, this kind of completely like they already follow these kinds of irrationalities because they don't have the ability to understand that these things are bullshit, right? So they don't even have the capability to understand that magic is not real. If you take spiritualists and theists, they believe in magic, right? So these kinds of people will never be convinced, or I can say like never become rational, never find the rationality within extinctionism because they simply don't have the intellectual capacity. So what you have to do here is you have to remember that still some audience are watching. These audience may very well have the empathetic and intellectual capability. So what you have to do is you have to expose the flawed uh, these flawed ideologies. If you take theism, you have to expose them, right? Because it is ridiculous to believe that God will help you. Every day, like thousands of children are getting raped. Where is God, right? So these morons are believing that God will help you. It will, it all has a grand purpose. All these kinds of bullshit, right? So you have to expose these kinds of bullshit in their ideology, and you have to keep arguments and point out that they are being unethical and irrational. So this is how you should handle. So once you enter a debate, you can actually judge a person, right? So you can actually judge. So when you enter a debate, if you are a honest person, you are going to be like, you're going to ask me questions and about my ideology. You'll keep genuine arguments. You'll not be like, if you take some of our last debates, somebody was like, I'm pro selfish, bro, and then they were like, what if I kill your family? And then they are like, no, you shouldn't kill my family, you should have morality, right? So that is coming. So this kind of people, we don't need to be very polite to them, right? So if somebody is genuine, you can see the way they argue. If somebody is ethical, you can see the way they argue. Should keep arguments based on that, right? You should conduct a debate based on that. And uh, if the if your opponent proves to be disingenuous, the strategy should be to expose them And if your opponent proves to be genuine, keep genuine points and debate them. But still, in both kinds of debates, you have to be very, 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 very unapologetic, right? Don't ever hesitate to use the words rape, right? Because it's happening. That's what we are fighting against. Don't hesitate to give analogies. So if a pro-lifer is like saying like I want to continue uh, 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 existence because there are pleasures too, you have to keep an unapologetic argument there. You have to ask them uh, which pleasure can justify 5,000 children being raped every day. You have to unapologetically ask them whether it is a genuine person or someone who is not genuine. This kind of unapologetic argument should be there in every debate. If they are just disingenuous, then just kind of troll them. That's it. Make fun of them, expose them. You can literally you can just trash them. You can literally do whatever you feel like. But
Yeah, I
the
think
goal should be towards exposing.
yeah, the common theme with pro-lifers when they debate is that they always use dishonest tactics, right? They never
Yeah.
debate honestly and fairly. And my
Yeah.
theory on that is that it's just bias, essentially. So when we're debating them, we're just debating bias, essentially, right? So that's never going to be honest. It's never going to be sincere. You're never going to be able to actually have a serious conversation if it's just pure bias, right? And my theory is that bias comes from the biological hardwiring that makes you fear death, cherish the tribe, and the continuation of society, right? I think it's not just that we're wired to preserve our own lives, but it's society as well, right? We're almost selfless towards society continuing, and we don't know why, right? But I think it's those factors that kind of just control their opinions on extinction and pro-life, right? It's probably
Exactly.
things that they've never really thought about so deeply, and so when you actually challenge them on it, they don't say, "Oh, I never thought about that." Actually, yeah, good point. No, it's just some rubbish that comes out immediately, like, "Oh, you can't do that. It's going to go against consent." It's like, well, why does consent matter more than the suffering continuing for millions of years?
No. That is not the thing. Pro-lifers actually don't have any right to use the consent argument because, okay, extinction violates consent. But what does life do? It keeps violating consent, right? So your consent is violated when you are born, your consent is violated when you die, and then the consent keeps getting violated the next generations you reproduce and oppose extinction and continuing life, right? Means continuing to violate consent. So pro-lifers have zero authority, zero right to use consent as an argument against extinctionism. They want consent violations to continue. We want it to end.
So the pro-life position ultimately entails a lot of horrible things, right? To be pro-life means to support or to be pro-suffering, right? So when it comes to debating, especially in videos and live debates, we have to think about the entire arsenal of horrible things that they support by default by being pro-life, right? So what do we think is sort of the best way to twist the knife into the pro-lifers to really expose what they technically are supporting by being pro-life? What are the worst things that we can say or show, you're supporting all of this by being pro-life without directly admitting it. I
See,
think
the first thing is I'm actually in the middle of editing an interview video about this. So I'm not going to spoil anything about the interview video. It's a really good one. So the thing is that most pro-lifers don't know, like, there are like empathetic people uh, everywhere in all countries, right? There are empathetic people. So the thing is that um, the society that we live in right now, it's kind of like you go to the school, right? Then you go to a college, you get an education, you go to a job, right? Then you're then you have to think about expanding your career, getting married, having children, then making them go to school, right? So they just put a kind of a track in front of you, right? So this is where you should run. You shouldn't stray aside from this track, right? So in this track there is actually no available information. This track only has these informations, like, okay, this is, I have to study engineering, I have to go to a good college, I have to get placed in a good college, I have to get placed in a good job, I have to get a good girl to marry me. So this track has no space for thinking about the world issues, right? Nobody tells you them, right? So even like most pro-lifers, they are surprised when we show them footages of dogs boiling alive. They're asking, why are they boiling alive? Why can't they just cut off their head? That's what happens very commonly. This is what you are supporting, right? So I think we should somehow make this suffering content, these facts that these thousands of children are getting raped, these animals are actually commonly, this is not an isolated event. These animals are commonly being boiled alive, right? Tortured for hours and killed for a few bitcoins, right? So these kinds of things happen all around the world, and I think to really put a dent in the society, like the delusions this society has made up, like life is beautiful, right? So in your track, when you take a vacation, you just go to a natural beautiful scenery, right? Nobody takes you to a place where they are boiling dogs alive for a vacation, right? So I think this is what you have to do, like you have to somehow make these sufferings along with the extinctionist message reach globally. This is what you have to do. So that's why even we can see, right, in our Reddit also, um, these cruelty contents that we post, these videos of sufferers, these have the most responses and the least negative responses, if you note it.
I do hope that that's not people enjoying the video.
No, the thing is, like, you can see the comments, right? So when I even made a video recently about it. Like some guy was repeatedly asking, like, okay, why won't they just cut off the head? And another guy was like, why are they doing this to the dog? What happened to the dog? When I posted that video,
Yeah.
right? So even on Reddit, you can see a lot of positive comments, like this is from people who don't support extinction. Actually, they are saying, okay, it's horrible, right? So there are a few negative comments in, I won't say like negative comments are zero. There are disgusting people, right? One guy said, like one Komodo dragon is ripping out a mother goat, a baby goat from the mother goat, and he's saying, like, why are you filming a toilet? Like, this suffering and toilet is the same thing. So there are some disgusting comments like that as well. But the thing is, a lot of empathetic people, they don't actually know, like, okay, this much cruelty is happening around the world. So because they are mostly focused on their own track, they are focused on getting a job, getting into good colleges, getting married. So once you achieve one goal, you will immediately get the other goal. Once you finish your school with a high GPA, you get the next goal, getting placed into Cambridge, getting placed into Oxford, right? Getting placed into Harvard. Once you get placed into Harvard, then you have to get a good GPA again. Then you pass out, right? Then you have to land a good job. You have to get a job in Google. You have to get a job in Amazon, right? Then after you land a good job, then the next thing is like you have to get married, right? Then the next thing is people, relatives asking you, why can't you have a baby, right? Are you important? They'll be asking this, right? So do you have any time to think about other things in this kind of life? No, right? So the thing is this the society doesn't give them this things, right? So if you take any social media, they are against they are actually depromoting extinctionist content. Their algorithms are suppressing our content, right? They want society to go in this track, right? They want people to think like this. So that is what we should break. We should make them see, okay, there is a lot more to life. Yours is not the only life. And like silly stuff this society says, like, okay, getting married or getting a good job is not a big deal. But so what is happening, the suffering, the puppy being tortured for hours and killed, that's a big deal. So this is the thing that we should tell society to change the society.
Yeah, I think people don't have the bandwidth, the time to think about any of this stuff, and it's also a case of ignorance is bliss, right? They have, yeah, like you said, most people on the Reddit, they're asking questions like, "What is this? Is this really happening?" It's shocking how ignorant they are of the truth and the reality of how cruel reality is. I mean, most people don't even realize that 99% of animals die before reaching adulthood.
We actually don't even like um, see animal suffering, right? So the thing is, um, we would just be going about our lives. We will eat a piece of chicken, right? We'll drink some milk, and then like some. If you see a bird nest, you just wow, you just see it for a while and just move on, right? Yeah, but if you like observe closely, like you would be seeing that the baby birds are being kicked down by their own mother, right? Uh, like yeah, most of see 50% of the birds can't even take flight. They don't learn to fly. What do you think happens to them? They just fall into the water and rot, get eaten alive by ants, right?
Or
But like on your daily life, you just see a bird's nest for 5 minutes and you just walk away thinking that that is a happy place. Right? So like animal suffering is ignored because it's not even shown. And animals cannot even like come to you and say like, okay, there is a child trafficking industry, right? They just traffic children for sex slavery, right? Do you also know that there is same sex slave trade for animals? These children, if they survive this sex slave trade, they are going to come out and they are going to tell you their stories. Can these animals? They
no, you
can't,
can't
right?
grow from it either.
Exactly. So that is why this is being it's really like being hidden purposefully at many times from people, the animal sufferings.
It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, as you said, ignorance is bliss for narcissists, right? For
Mm.
empaths, they just put there was a comment here, right? So they just put them on the rat race, and then um, there is like literally no time to think about all these things.
Hmm. Yeah, it's they don't escape the bubble, basically.
Yeah.
Mm. But unfortunately, those people are, by and large, still narcissists, like you said, or willfully ignorant. And if you try and bring it up to them, it's not just a case of ignorance; it's willful
Yeah,
ignorance.
I do think there are like lot of empaths who are like they won't be ignorant. Like they won't know the stuff. I do think there are a lot of empaths like that. So I'll release an interview video. You'll see that thing exactly. I'll probably do it next week. The audio is a bit damaged, so I'm working on it. So the thing is, there are a lot of empaths. I meet a lot of people who are like, see, even in my previous interviews, you can see a lot of people, right? They are like, okay, if 5,000 children are getting raped, I might, you know, consider pressing the red button, right? So uh, you can see that there are a lot of empaths. But again, after speaking to me, they go back to their rat race. So it requires us. So our activism, what we should do is we should shake the society. We should reach these cruelties, these sufferings to people, and we should shake their delusions, shake them out of their delusions. That is our job. That is how we should take the movement forward. That is what we should make ideas for. We should make ideas for reaching these sufferings to people.
Mhm.
So we don't need to really care about these narcissists actually. Yeah,
Yeah, they're never going to change or try to understand in the short term.
exactly.
Definitely not. But the more exposure we can get, the more views and engagement, the more the message will spread by itself. Really, I mean, we're really just the messengers of the message, right? It's not our
Exactly.
message, just a universal thing that we're spreading for it. Really. um,
We are also a product of nature.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, maybe we could do a podcast at some point on the best way to reach empaths and, what we want from them, really. Because, like you said, they might just go back to the rat race. And, have we really managed to get through to them if that's the case? Or what do you think? Do people.
we are trying better every day.
Mhm.
See, we cannot make a podcast on it because we don't know. If we know how to how to reach all the empaths, we would have already done it, right? So we are taking steps towards it. So if we experimented something called Reddit, and then okay, we are making progress in Reddit. We are attracting a lot of people, right? And then many of them are joining our Discord, right? They are making some content. So like what we can do is we can do our best, right? We can experiment and adopt stuff without ego. We shouldn't have egos in activism. We should adopt, okay, this gives result, this doesn't give result. We have to split them into two, and whatever gives result we have to adopt them. And that's how we continue. Like nobody knows the answer. I don't know the answer how to reach all the empaths. I just know that okay, you have to reach them with suffering. This is the problem they have. They are not exposed to suffering much, and you have to reach this suffering content, this data, like this much kids are getting raped, this much animals are getting abused. You have to get this information to them, right? I don't know how to do it. I just know we have to do it. right? So we
Yeah.
will experiment. That is what we are doing in activism every day. We are
I think for a
experimenting,
lot of
learning,
them,
and making it better.
I think for a lot of them, maybe most of them, they've probably never even heard of the idea of extinction, right? It's a completely new concept to them. So, like, when I first heard about it, I'd never heard of it before, but very quickly I realized, yes, this makes perfect sense. But until the message reaches me, I'm not going to even think about it, unfortunately. So I think a lot of empaths will very quickly get the idea, as long as we can find them.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of empaths in animal rights movement. It's a very huge hotspot for empaths, animal rights movement, and I have found empaths like everywhere. Like they have been found in communism, they have been found in even recently in misanthropy, right? So antinatalism everywhere. Like I don't think empaths can be pinpointed. All empaths can be pinpointed, but there are empathetic hotspots
Mm-hmm.
for real. So somebody is asking like, do we? Are we morally obligated to live until ultimate extinction? So yes, we believe that. We want humanity to continue until ultimately causing extinction, because suffering is not just about we are not the only ones who are suffering, right? If you ask me, I am not even suffering. I am privileged AF. So the thing is, uh, we have a moral obligation towards uh, ending everybody's suffering without any discrimination, because it doesn't matter really who the victim is or what they are suffering from. All suffering is bad and deserves to be stopped. So yes, it is moral obligation to continue humanity until causing a vast and a thorough extinction.
And what about on an individual level? Because this is a question that's come up a bit over the last few days, Steve. What if someone has, cancer or a terminal illness or just a
See,
very
I'm not. See,
difficult.
I'm not someone who's against right to die. But the thing is, why I don't speak about right to die much is like, because the thing is like, we have to spend more resources on the ultimate solution, right? So we cannot go ahead and fight for small causes, right? So yes, racism is bad. Yes, sexism is bad. What is happening in Gaza is bad. What a plane crash that happened a few days ago is bad, right? So everything is bad. I cannot go to each and every specific issue and fight for it. Especially because this is the ultimate solution. Extinction, total extinction is the ultimate solution. And this total extinction, the cause of total extinction, the movement, pro extinction movement, it has the least resources. Right to die has a lot, it is a smaller cost, but it has a lot of resources. Fighting racism has a lot of resources. Fighting farmed animal suffering has a lot of resources, human resources, right? Lot of activists. But for the ultimate solution, we only have a few activists actively fighting for it. Personally, I have logistics problem with extinction. For example, what if there are aliens? Are we supposed to try to teach aphilism to the whole universe? So we don't believe in aphilism really, because aphilism is total like. Uh, I I really don't know what aphilism is, so I don't have to because a lot of people are giving a lot of definitions to it.
It's like
So
nihilism,
I'll
it's
just keep the message simple, right? So the thing is, we have a moral obligation to cause extinction as vast and as thorough as possible. as possible. Note the word as possible here. So extinctionism is not a impractical movement. But the thing is, there are a few theories in science like vacuum decay, exotic physical energy. Even AI is developing right now, right? So it's just a matter of engineering, and it will get to a point of huge higher intelligence. So, like we have to explore these technologies, and when we come to a conclusion, okay, this is the most vast extinction possible and the most thorough extinction possible, that decision we have to say, we have to take, right? So yes, so even if alien life is very prevalent and suffering exists everywhere in the universe, it's also bad, right? So but we, at the same time, we couldn't be impractical either. So if something if science proves that only you can only reach, let's say, like up to Milky Way galaxy, right? You cannot reach beyond that. There is no point in like continuing after that. Like, but we have to be 100% sure, okay, this is the most vast and the most thorough extinction possible, and then we take that as a decision.
So would we go around teaching aliens? No. Ideally,
Yep.
we would have like a red button or, vacuum decay, something that just causes universal
Extinction.
extinction. We
Yeah.
wouldn't go around checking for the aliens' consent. We would play it safe, essentially, right?
No, I would think otherwise. I would think like if aliens do exist, right, and if they are intelligent enough to comprehend ideologies like extinctionism, and their intelligence is evolving, they are bound to get to that point at one point or another. There will be no point in teaching them, right?
But
So
even if
the thing that is keeping pro-life going is because 99% of the world is religious right now. It believes that some God exists and he has a grand plan for all of us. That is the only thing that is standing between like intelligence and these 21st century morons. Right. So if this is gone, conclusions like extinctionism is like inevitable,
yeah,
right?
but regardless of that, even if there's a happy planet of aliens, there could just as easily be an unhappy planet of aliens, right? So it doesn't matter. Ending the happiness of some aliens is going to be worth it if we can end the suffering of others, right? And even if there are only happy aliens, there could be unhappy aliens in the future, right? So it's not worth the risk allowing life to stay in any case. And there's no real benefit to having it, right? It's just a risk, essentially, a risk that isn't worth taking.
Yeah. So another thing is that yeah, we are also in our opinion also cosmic extinction is best, and we are just we will but we will always be practical, right? So we are not going to tell you right now that this much cosmic extinction is possible because we don't know, and we won't tell like the extinctionists shouldn't say like if only this much is scientifically possible, they shouldn't say that okay, no, like we won't accept it, we will only accept universal extinction. We'll accept extinction as vast and as thorough as possible when we come to know that okay, this is 100% sure, this is the thing that is possible, we'll take that decision. So Aditya Nishad is saying universe is expanding, so vacuum decay won't be able to destroy the universe. Actually, you are right, and vacuum decay actually travels in the speed of light. So the thing is that when we mention these technologies, actually, like these are very very theoretical, right? These are not like they have a sound theoretical background supported by mathematics. We are not saying any science fiction kind of thing. These are the math of vacuum decay is there in a lot of physics research papers. It is supported by a lot of models in physics. right? But we will not say that okay, this is going to destroy the whole universe. So our ideology is the extinction as vast and as thorough as possible, right? So if it is at the end of the day, if vacuum decay is the best thing, there is nothing else beyond it, right? And vacuum decay will only go this much amount of the universe. We are going to accept that. If something better comes along for a more vast and thorough extinction, we are going to accept that one.
Mhm.
It's as
So
simple
yeah,
as that.
it's
You don't
basically
need to
about
confuse
doing.
yourself with destroying the universe. Okay. Our aim is extinction as vast as and as thorough as possible, not destroying the universe or anything. Our movement is a practical movement.
Yeah, people seem to have difficulty understanding the idea that the movement will do the best it can. It's not about having to achieve X, Y, or Z. It's just doing the most vast, the most thorough extinction, doing the best possible. And that's still to be determined what the best possible is, right? However, even on the smaller scale, we're pretty confident we could do Earth. So that means that the extinction movement is already valid. Anything else we can do, which we will try our best to do, I don't want to say it's a bonus exactly, but it's the movement is already valid just on Earth alone, right?
Exactly. We will do as much as possible, right? So if there is a room and a child is getting raped inside there, I know that that suffering is bad. But if I find out that I absolutely cannot enter that room, it's impossible, absolutely impossible to enter that room. I cannot enter that room, right? I am better off saving the child who's getting raped outside, right? Where I can control it. So another thing Tom Ditch is saying is that sometimes I feel that the only thing I can control is deleting myself. So we don't support that kind of thing, and I would suggest you seek some help. But the thing is that um, like it's not about it's not like somebody is going to make a red button and give you in your hand, bro, try to control it, try to press it, right? They are not going to do that. You imagine we are fighting for total eradication of all suffering, but smaller causes like eradication of slavery, it took around 10,000 years of fighting to abolish slavery. It took around 5,000 years of fighting to abolish casteism, to abolish sexism, right? Nobody made any button, red button that will liberate all the slaves, that will liberate all the lower caste people and gave it to somebody to control. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
So you feel like the only moral responsibility is for yourself and not others.
It
Well,
doesn't
that
really
kind
make
of
sense because, like, when it comes to morality, what you are saying is like absolute selfishness. It's the opposite of morality. Morality means like morality came into place because you shouldn't harm others. For a collective action, right? So, like a society should function morally. They shouldn't rape women, right? So it came into place and made it. They made it into a law or something, uh, just to ensure a collective action. Like you are saying that if you will only save yourself, that is pure selfishness. That is opposite of morality. You cannot say that is moral. But yeah, if you
yeah,
prefer to be selfish, we cannot stop you, right? There is no there is no rational reason to discriminate others because what if James is beaten, he will feel the same suffering as me. That is the same bad event. Beating James is same as beating me. Right? Both are equally bad events.
I like to say there's two types of people. There's people who know that someone is suffering in the room next to them and they don't care. And then there's people who would care and wouldn't be able to sit comfortably knowing that that suffering is happening, right? Exactly. And extinctionism takes this to the extreme, or the logical conclusion, which is that even if you have 7-8 billion people happy, but one person is suffering horribly, right? We would still prioritize that person. We can't sit comfortably knowing that someone is suffering like that, even if there's a lot of people happy, right? That doesn't make it okay for us.
Yeah.
It's not something we can just be okay with and ignore. Yeah. But then you have selfish people that are totally okay with that. So you have two types of people, and we're not always going to be able to convince selfish people to become selfless. It's their nature. It's their biology.
Exactly. So I think I have to go now. So I think this Reddit comment reaction can be done next week in the next podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's been a really good episode, though, Steve. So well done to us.
Yeah.
We got through some interesting questions.
See you all next week. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone. And we'll see you next week.